have to stop.
Man, family, it goes down here at the Manor family. What do you know about that? We appreciate you coming back in, giving the family just a little bit of that feel good. You are listening to Spirit Child and our in-house guest, Miss Phyllis-Scott. We've been having a conversation about finding ourselves. And over the break, Phyllis and I were talking about just that thing, finding yourselves, and how the music has transformed and how you need to have a little bit of life to be able to bring out some of those great hits. Phyllis, tell the family what your thoughts were when you hear My Funny Valentine.
Anything. Okay, so you got to understand where it's coming from. When you don't get it, you can't give it.
Right.
When you don't understand where it's coming from, you cannot express it. Right. So even with Miles Davis playing in the background, it's like, My Funny Valentine. And I could put my own swing.
Right.
Sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with my heart. That's what I'm feeling right now.
Right.
There was Herbie Hancock did an interview one time, and he was talking about a gig that he had with Miles Davis, and he said he played a chord that was so wrong.
Uh-oh.
No. And what Miles did was he played that chord. And that's what jazz is. That's what the whole expressionism is. And that's what people don't get. So when you get it, then you can give it and it comes through. And I don't care. That's why Miles Davis could play 5 notes. And you knew exactly what he was feeling.
Right.
That is an awesome form of expression.
So,
Yeah.
And we talk about feeling and finding ourselves. And music is international. It literally touches the spirit. It has the ability to transcend race and time and just a little bit of everything. For the young listeners who will hear this, what else can you tell them about the music?
Listen to some music.
Okay.
And stop listening to junk that they are copying the tracks and then my kids, oh, that's a new song. It's not a new song. It happened in the 70s. They're just repeating the music. So it's one thing that I can say, who knows how I would feel if I never experienced that with my dad. Because people that knew my dad, many guy friends that I had, they weren't just coming to my house to see me. They were coming to my house to talk to him. And that's the cool thing about listening to the music. Nobody takes it apart. What was it? Brown Sugar, the movie about the hip hop. Mm-hmm. They could take it apart. My dad, you would have conversations about the music. You can't have any conversations about what's happening now, because if they're not cursing and doing the twerk and all that other kind of stuff, but there you could just become, that's what happened. You would become the music.
Right.
And then you're having a dialogue about what you became. And when you started out, when you're listening to jazz, and I think jazz the most, because I listen to blues and jazz and pop, I do, and gospel, but when you're listening to jazz, there is like especially when it's good, you morph.
Right.
You may start out as strangers, but when you are in the presence of a gifted musician, it changes everything. The energy changes everything. I love it. And that's what, if I was to tell the young people, is like, find a true jazz venue. Not people that say they play jazz, but then they play all of the R&B music, but that you are able to express yourself. And I've played with musicians, and I'll say, let's do, Moody's Mood. And that's really, I'm in the mood for love. Mm-hmm. That Thelonious Monk did, but because people don't get it, they just miss out on so much. And when I was in high school, the good jazz musicians always had, not only did they have their fake books, but they would find a musician that they fell in love with, and they would emulate that musician. And they knew every song on that vinyl, and they could play it. And then once you could emulate somebody else, then you could make it your own. So I just didn't come out doing my own. I first had to, what vocalist do I like? Okay, so if I like Ella Fitzgerald and she's doing Summertime, I may not do it the way she does it, because then it's become a part of me. Mm-hmm. I've morphed, and now I can present it my way. So
that is powerful.
Yes, that's what they need to do. Listen to some music.
Wow.
You can delete that if you want. I don't want to offend any listeners, but I'm just saying that's what we're missing. That's ultimately what I want to bring back. I do want to bring back the true art form, because it is an art form. Big band music is an art form that is dying, and you shouldn't go to Scat Lounge to listen to somebody that sounds like Bennett or Frank Sinatra. What about the Nat King Coles? What about the Dinah Washingtons? That's what we're missing. We're missing the Ella Fitzgeralds out there.
And so I thank you for that, because that's actually a good segue into my next question.
Awesome sauce.
Why do you feel the need for you to make a change in your life? So it sounds like not only is it about the transition from Phyllis Persely to Tiffany Blue to Phyllis Persely-Scott, and now Phyllis-Scott. So it sounds like it's twofold. It's about the metamorphosis. Sounds like you've been in a little bit of a cocoon and you're coming out as the new butterfly, but also about the music.
I get the butterfly analogy. But I also think that the evolution has come about by a brokenness. When you realize that you're broken, and a lot of us are broken.
Well,
am I okay with that, or do I want to change it? Do I want to fix it? So I think it's more of a repair and repairing the brokenness. If I was to describe it, truthfully describe it. So that's why it's hard to attach myself to the Phyllis Persely-Scott, if it's broken.
Absolutely. And again, it's kind of going through that genesis.
Yeah, beginning. That's good. That's good.
Going through that genesis, and that's another book I'll tell the family about later. But I think in finding out what is broken is where we decide, if we're truthful with ourselves, where the change needs to happen.
But remember now, that's an honest thing.
True.
I mean, because we're walking around acting like we're not broken. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's the facade. Mm-hmm. So when you start taking stuff apart and you realize, you know what, I'm messed up. I've got some fixing to do. Then that's what, it's easy for somebody else to tell you you're broken.
Right.
Okay, because we're like that. We
have
always
a
got to
tendency
judge
to be judgmental, right? Mm-hmm.
and not allow people to come to it on their own. And that's the thing that is awesome. To be okay with who you are right now. Broken, somebody once told me, warts and all. To be okay with who you are with the warts and all. And know you got some fixing to do, and being okay with fixing it.
Right.
You got to want to fix it and mend yourself.
So we talked about prescriptions earlier, and I'm not going to go back down that path, but I do have a follow-up question, and you've kind of alluded to that, and it's about when the change happened for you, and what was your time frame like, or did you even have a time frame? When was it just like crystal clear that I need to do, and maybe not even do, but I want to do something different?
It's funny. Very recently, I went on a retreat, and it was a fantastic opportunity. And what I realized was to admit to yourself that you are okay not being perfect.
Now, girlfriend, that's deep.
That's very deep. That's why it was a profound 3 days. And there were very few of us there, which it confuses me, because we think we got it all together. We think this is it. Either I'm okay with this life, I can't do any better, or you got this facade going on that you got everything together and you really don't. Because when you close the door, that's when you become the real you. But everybody on the outside sees something else. But yeah, when I went on that retreat, I realized that I am enough. I am worthy. I am strong. I am powerful. I'm stronger than anyone thinks. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, but I've got some work I got to do. And I'm okay with that too.
So, where do you start? How does the transformation happen for you?
Acknowledging it to yourself, and then putting a strategy in place. So how am I going to do things differently? I was reading this book today, and it was not, I didn't even think you were going to go in this direction, so it's not like I was reading it because we were going to talk today, but I always read motivational self-help books. I always do that. Every day I'm listening to something. And the gist of it is being okay with changing who you are. And there are things that happen in our psyche from the time that we are born to we are now, that our body starts, because our brain, our thoughts, feelings, and actions are not in alignment, that we start wanting, the body starts wanting those guilt feelings because they like that feeling. And until you acknowledge that's what you're feeling, and it actually said the positive thinkers, these are the people that came from non-positive lives. So their body is not positive, and then they're talking and they're saying all these positive things. So as soon as you stop talking, the brain is talking to the body, and then it's a vicious circle all over again. So I think that would be, acknowledgement.
Right. So that's learning how to be emotionally intelligent.
Emotionally intelligent, in tuned,